World Individual, the team and the pairs titles came last Sunday in the World Long Track final in Yugoslavia. For the 1980 World Individual champion Michael Lee, it was his last opportunity to salvage something from a season he'll prefer to forget. In this long track form of speedway, there are 6 riders in each heat. There are 9 heats, the 2 semi-finals, and a final made up of the 6 top point scorers. Now, the track is 1,000 meters in length, and the bike's larger than the conventional machines, and with gears. We're about to see the highlights of the meeting. Your commentator is Dave Lanning, and he picks up the story in Heat 6.
There's Christoph Betzel from West Germany, 3rd last year. As we look across the line, the Yugoslavian Vlado Kusavan, number 11 there is Hans-Otto Pingel. And we look across for Michael Lee, seeking to salvage something from a season of disappointment. Former World Speedway champion, number 14. On the outside of him there is Zdenek Kundra from Czechoslovakia, another familiar figure in British Speedway. Heat 6, Betzel, Kusavan, Pingel, Keček, Lee, Kundra from the inside reading out. The green light on, and away they go. And it's Lee, indeed, who makes the jump from wide on the outside and coming hard up on the inside. It's Christoph Betzel. And these were the two we rather felt might carve up heat number 6. Lee had a somewhat disappointing opening ride. It clashed with one of the West Germans, left him back in 3rd place. And he really is flying here in Heat 6, though. Here's a battle for the minor places between the two Yugoslavs. But there is Lee, and Lee really is stretching them. Betzel, and he's back in 2nd place. And there is Michael Lee. He's on a new prototype Czechoslovakian Jawa engine, and it does look very, very quick indeed. Just look at him go, absolutely streamlined, 100 mile an hour around this 1,000 meter, very well prepared Gornja Radgona track in northern Yugoslavia. Lee absolutely taking them apart here in Heat 6, really has settled well. Remember, no Englishman has ever won this World Long Track title. But Michael Lee, after all the heartbreak, after all the disappointments, and indeed the controversy of his 1981 Speedway season, looks very much at home here on Yugoslavian shell. In 2nd place it is Christoph Betzel. We rather reckon that. He won his opening ride. Remember, it's 5 points for a win and so on down the line, and no score for a last place. Betzel 2nd, and there's a bit of a battle going on for 3rd place, and there goes Zdenek Kundra almost collecting the boards. And that's allowed the German Pingel through. We'll see just on the line. I think he's going to get up. There he goes, over the line. So it's Lee who collects 5 points, and that must be good for him. Heat 7 could be an important one. We have George Gilgenreiner there, one of the always menacing West Germans. Another German there, Joseph Aigner, Ivan Major, the old warhorse. 6 times World Speedway champion, 3 times winner of this championship. And on the outside, Peter Collins, of course, the Englishman, highest ever placed Englishman, 3rd in 1978. And Heat 7, Major, the man who's talked about retirement, would love to go out on a high note. He's from the outside there. Collins is on the outside. Who's going to make the jump? Away they go, and it's Collins from the outside. Gilgenreiner's got a good start too, and so has Aigner. And Major is locking back onto the line as they go across into the first 2 corners, levelling out. It's Gilgenreiner in 1st place. Aigner is 2nd, and Major is making his big run down the inside. And there's some terrible trouble, and Major and Aigner have picked each other up. Keček has taken to the infield to avoid the carnage. And that really was a bad one, a horrendous one for Ivan Major, down and clearly in trouble. We'll see it again in slow motion. Here is Gilgenreiner in front, and we just go out of picture here as Aigner seems to lock back. Major comes bursting through at 100 mile an hour. The two collide, they touch handlebars, there's nowhere to go but trouble. Down goes Ivan Major, gets rid of his bike. It looks as though, in fact, it's Aigner's bike who does the damage to the right ankle, the boot clearly removed. We look for Keček, who moves on to the infield to avoid an even greater disaster. There goes the Yugoslav, but Ivan Major down and in an awful lot of trouble. There we can see Bruce Pennell, the World Speedway champion in the British contingent, clearly distressed by Ivan Major. Ivan in a great deal of pain. Heat 9, Michael Lee with 8 points, looking for the necessary to qualify for the 2nd semi-final here. He'll be on the inside. He's got a German, Wilhelm Duden. There he is, number 9. Next to him, Karl Mayer, the reigning champion. Hasn't been happy so far, 3 points only. A Yugoslav, Vlado Kusavan. Next to him, George Hack. And on the outside, perhaps his main danger, Anders MICHANEK, a former holder of this crown. And of course, the 1974 World Speedway champion. Heat 9, Michael Lee on the inside looking for points. It looks like Lee, and Lee almost propelled himself into the first corner. Lee and MICHANEK together. Lee on the inside, MICHANEK on the outside, back in third place there. It looks as though it's George Hack, but Michael Lee really is going like a steam train. Well, there is Lee in front, and he really is stretching MICHANEK. And this is good news for the lanky, gawky East Anglian from Cambridge, of course, rides with Kings Lynn. Not much of him, and though he's a tall lad, he's only about 8 stone. And of course, weight distribution so important in this form of speedway racing, where it's all about speed and it's all about really streamlining, and Michael Lee is doing it to perfection right now. A win here will carry Lee into the semi-finals. We have 2 semi-finals. The point system still applies as it does in the final. And Michael Lee is absolutely in top form. And a disappointing season as the world individual champion, stripped of his golden helmet in trouble and controversy, and had a bit of a flop, really, to be honest, at Wembley. So that's all behind him now, as he really burns up the Yugoslavian shell. And a touch of the old pioneer dirt track style there as he goes roaring across the line to win Heat 9. Second was MICHANEK's, third was George Hack, but that will take Michael Lee into the semis. He looks very composed about it. And so the second semi-final, Michael Lee again looking for points. Have a look on the inside there, we have Phil Collins. He's done well, the young Craven Heath rider in his first World Long Track final, number 16. Here he stands, we remember him at Reading, and as MICHANEK, Michael Lee on the outside. Aigner miraculously recovered from that pile-up with Ivan Major. Lee impatient, number 14, remember. We haven't got Major in this race because obviously with his ankle injuries he couldn't take his place at the start. So Lee on the second from outside made a good start, so too has MICHANEK. And so too has Aigner, but it's MICHANEK who leads it, and Lee around the outside, MICHANEK on the inside, Lee on the outside, and now the battle really is on. And can Michael Lee find the horsepower? Can he find the legs to go by MICHANEK? And I think he can, and that's a beautiful action picture. Oh, really beautiful. Michael Lee stretched open the throttle, and this clearly is a potent piece of Jawa machinery that Michael Lee is sitting upon. MICHANEK's in second place, and third it's Phil Collins. That's a good placing for the young Cheshire rider. Creeping around the inside there, Phil Collins won his semi-final. Lee had to struggle a bit to qualify. Struggling here in Yugoslavia. Battle for the minor placings there is MICHANEK and Collins. But this should take Michael Lee into the final, although he still will have some work to do, because that's rather disappointing opening ride when he drops some points means that he isn't going to qualify as the top scorer. We have the West German Betzel already through on 19 points, and Lee is going to join him there, but he will only have 18 points if he stays this way. Hasn't made a mistake apart from that first ride, and not making a mistake here. It really is poetry in motion. He wins it. Second place is MICHANEK. Third is Phil Collins. A good ride again. Are we looking at the first Englishman to take the World Long Track title? So the crowd settle for the final. Remember, Lee it is. There's MICHANEK. He's on 16 points. Betzel is the man on 19 points. That is Michael Lee's danger. We've got Egon Muller on number 17. George Gilgen-Reiner on 15. He's a danger. Michael Lee has 18 points. Must beat Betzel, and on the outside it's Phil Collins. Number 16. So Lee, second from outside, and he really must head home. Christoph Betzel, who's second from the inside. The final, the 1981 World 1000 metre Championship. And they're impatient, and away they go, and it's a very even break, and Betzel has been left. That's good news for Lee. Lee leads it, although coming into the corner it is Gilgen-Reiner who gets his nose in front, and Lee now must really find something special. Gilgen-Reiner leads it. Betzel's at the back. That's good news for the East Anglian. And it is looking as though it's Michanek in third place, but Gilgen Reiner leads. And now Michael Lee again must open the throttle and find the horsepower. And it looks as though he's going to do just that. And Gilgen Reiner looks for him in that flying figure. Looks like a flying hairpin. But my word, Ian, travelling more than somewhat. Look at him go. And he's just squeezed by. Michanek still far from out of contention. But Michael Lee has gone around the outside of Gilgen Reiner. Betzel's way at the back. And this looks as though it's going to be successful. Michael Lee, and England's only Speedway World Champion of 1981. And there's a bit of a turn up for the book. But Michael Lee has reigned supreme this afternoon. He's gated well. He's come from the back. He really is on a flying machine. And he's set and kicking on now to become the first Englishman to win the World 1,000-metre Championship. And that really, in continental terms, is the equivalent of an English cyclist winning the Tour de France. It's a marvellous achievement for Mike. Looking back, clearly in command. Over the line he goes. Michael Lee it is who gathers the title and salvages a great deal from what has been a terrible season for him. Well, the Yugoslav crowd stream home. They've seen the West German domination of this title absolutely taken apart by this man, Michael Lee, in the traditional victory bumps of a World Speedway champion.
Yes, and the final result, victory for Michael Lee on 23 points. Second was Christoph Betzel from West Germany on 20 points. And third was Sweden's Anders MICHANEK on 19. Well, in that nasty crash, Ivan Major sustained a very badly broken ankle. I can't help but feel that that will accelerate his retirement, which would be very sad indeed, but we do send him our very best wishes. But what an achievement for the young East Anglian Michael Lee to become the first Englishman to win the World Long Track crown.